Portal to Ascension mission officially began in 2008. After 15 years of evolution and thousands of events, from live to online and back to live again, there was always an awareness that when we begin creating events internationally, the mission will shift into its next phase. That time is now. Portal to Ascension is traveling to Glastonbury in August 2023 to fulfill this mission. This gathering of incredible luminaries traveling from all over the world to join forces in Avalon is a sacred pilgrimage to these ancient lands, and we invite you to embark on this quest with us. The Portal to Ascension Glastonbury is not only a conference, it is a retreat, a tour, and grid work. Together we are connecting the powerful mysteries and the ley lines of the heart of Earth, activating and uniting together as one. This 3-day event will feature Laura Eisenhower, Anton Parks, Geraldine Orozco, Vivienne Chauvet, Sage Oneness, Lori Spagnan, and many more. Your MCs are Neil Gore, Alan Steinfeld, and Joan of Angels. As a collective, we are waking up from a deep slumber, aligning to our true potential. What will we create? What will we envision? What are the possibilities? Join us in this ancient land for a unique opportunity and a gathering that will activate, elevate, inspire, and uplevel all that attend. August 11th to 13th, 2023. Sign up now at ascensionglastonbury.com.
Sherry has a fantastic story, and transformational and intense and dramatic, and about her experiences with ETs. And, you know, you touched on so many interesting points. Victor, you can stick around. Oh, anyway, Victor, I said you can stick around because you're interested in the subject too. So Sherry's book is called The Forgotten Promise, which talks about her transformation in meeting the ETs and then assimilating that experience into her everyday psyche. So I want to know how you're doing now, Sherry, because you had quite a couple of difficult years and feeling like the government side was attacking you for coming out for stuff, for things, right?
Yeah, it got rough. As soon as I signed the contract to have the book published, and as I mentioned last time I was with you, Alan, I was warned that if I talked about my experiences, the way they put it was, if you talk about what you know, you will be made to pay for that. I was not to say anything about the things I had experienced or knew. So as soon as I signed the contract, they had been watching me, and they came after me. They poisoned me with mercury, and then they poisoned me with lead, and they hit me with EMFs. Different types of EMF weapons. They did mind control, and they inserted into my brain, into mind control, whatever that is called, that they would put into my brain. Trojan horse implant, it was called. So it was a rough ride. It was very rough, and I really didn't want to stick around through it. I was ready to wave the white flag and go down and tell, but I didn't really know. Here's the thing that's in my nature. It's interesting. I didn't know I was under attack with the poison. I thought I was just getting sicker and sicker, and I didn't know what it was that was making me sick. The EMFs I knew about, because they told me that was what was happening to me. But the poison, when I found out I was being poisoned, that I had been poisoned, and that was what was killing me, because I ended up in the hospital dying from that. I got really pissed. And that's when I fought back. That's when I said, no, you're not going to win. You know, it's one thing if I get sick and my heart is giving out for whatever reason, is what I thought was happening. But when I found out that I had been under attack, it made the fighter in me come out, and I fought to stay here then. And so I've been sticking around. It's not been fun. It's been a real challenge, but my guys have been there and telling me to hang on. It's going to be okay. Easy for them to say, but they did all they could. They sent in people to clean my brain. They did a lot of things to assist me, which if they had not have done that, I would not be here. And I'm hanging on until the disclosure comes out and the med beds come out. The med beds should be able to put me back into good shape, I hope. So
Wow.
I'm here.
Well, thank you. I asked Victor, what do you make of that karmically, Victor, and what that also says for our evolution as human beings? Can you comment?
I think that anyone who brings forth a truth of any kind deserves to have that truth to announce to the world, allowed to be shared that truth, and not to be intimidated, threatened, or harmed in any way. Sherry, I'm so sorry that those things happened to you.
It was shocking to me. I had been warned by a few people that I could possibly be targeted. Especially, I guess I didn't realize I'm a very direct person. I don't mince words. I don't dance around a little bit. If I have something to say, I say it. And I guess I was very blunt, and I didn't realize that I was being very, very blunt. When I was one of the first people to call this a prison planet, and I would get up on the stage and say that, you know, you have been born into a prison. You don't know that you're slaves because you were born into a prison. And I knew very well that this was a prison planet. I felt it from the time I was little. I remember who I was before I came here. And so I think speaking out so abruptly and didn't mince words, I didn't dance around about it. I called it the way I saw it. And I guess that is what got me in trouble. But I don't know if I can't even change that. I still do the same thing, knowing that it might get me in trouble. It's just in my nature to be that way. And so that's how it goes, you know.
Can you make a distinction between the whoever's attacking you and the higher ET beings that are here to help you? Can you talk about that difference?
Oh yeah, a big difference, Alan. You know, the benevolent guys that I hang around with, I mean, going on the ship with them and being in their company is just heavenly. That's home to me. Being in that high frequency is my home. And it's where I belong. I came from sixth density, and I was of kind of one mind. We all shared the same kind of oneness, and there wasn't the separation like there is here. When you're dealing with lower frequency beings, it's entirely different. It's, I mean, the frequency, I mean, I don't even know how to describe it. It's just one of agitation and separation and individual greed and power over, you know, they were constantly trying to get power over me, trying to break me down. Anytime I was vulnerable, they would come at me, and I was vulnerable a lot during the time when I was sick. And so they would come after me and they would say, just give in, Sherry. Why do you fight us? Just give in. And I had an interesting thing happen. It would have been probably in, I'm going to guess the winter of 2020, 2021, right in through there, somewhere in there. I had Lucifer show up in my bedroom, which really shocked me because I remember telling the woman who's putting together the TV series about me, it was coming out of my mouth. And that's when I know that it's probably the truth. When I hear myself saying something that I'm not thinking, it's just coming out of me. And I was telling her that Lucifer showed up in my bedroom a couple of nights ago. Well, I waited a while. I think I waited three weeks or so to tell her. And that he'd been in my bedroom, showed up in the middle of the night. And I said, you know, I knew him. I said, I think we're old adversaries. We've gone around quite a bit before in past lives. And he was saying to me, well, Sherry, you can't blame me for coming after you. You can't blame me for trying to get you to come to the dark side. You were very vulnerable. He said, I thought this time we would do it. And I said, you'll never get me. I said, you will never get me. And he said, but come on, you can't blame me for trying. And I mean, he was very charming, you know, and I just told him, I said, you'll never get, he said, oh, don't be so sure of that. He said, I'm not going to give up trying. And when we were done talking, he backed out of the room. And when I have visitors come, whether they're from the Galactic Federation, what used to be called the Galactic Federation, or if it's from my guys or whatever, when they go, they just kind of fade out. For some reason, I knew it was him simply by the fact, well, I recognized him, I just knew his energy. But when he backed out of the room, he backed into a corner of my bedroom and just phased out through that corner of the bedroom. And I was like, you know, that's how I knew it was him, because he never turns his back on me. He won't ever turn his back on me. And so it was interesting to me to see his involvement in the trying to do the takedown of me. I remember when my guys came in back in 1990 or 91, And it was after the harmonic convergence. The harmonic convergence had happened in '87, and I had been had been told about my mission. I'd been awakened to what I was supposed to do, but told to just wait, that I could live a normal life until the great earth changes were well underway, and then I would be called upon to do my work. And so I was doing that, but they showed up all of a sudden in about '91, and they said, "We want you to leave the planet. We're going to take you off the planet." And I said, why are we going to do that? And they said, well, we're aborting your mission. And I said, why? And they said, because the dark ones know you're here. They know you're here, and they're watching you, and we can't guarantee your safety. You can't move forward with your mission because we're not sure we can keep you safe. And I said, I'm not leaving. And I said, I'm going to stay. And we argued about it for a long time. It went round and round. I was supposed to leave via a car accident within days. I mean, they were so sure I was going to want to leave that they didn't even think about it. But I said, no, I'm not going. And we got into quite an argument about it. And I did stay, but I did it for my children, and I did it because I did it for the planet. You know, because I said, if I can't do, I'll just do the best I can. And if I don't make it, I don't make it. But they've done a good job of keeping me as safe as they could. But I guess that they were gunning for me because they knew the impact that the TV series is going to have on humanity, and that's going to have a lot of impact. I thought that it would be out by now because it would seem like it would be part of the awakening process, but that's what they came after me for, and that's why I couldn't leave, because the film will not get made if I'm not here.
Wow.
So for that reason, I'm staying.
That's intense. I mean, I don't know what to make of the force of negativity. Victor, you have any comments about that?
Sure, I have a question for you. For those of us who are meeting you for the first time, tell us about your first experience, the earliest one you can remember, please.
My earliest one was I was laying in the crib. I was a newborn. I'd only been here for a few days, and I popped out of the body of the baby and stood by the crib, and my higher self, or my ET contact, which I call him Da, but it's a higher aspect of myself, and he was standing there, and he was laughing, kind of. I mean, they don't laugh, but he was amused, and he said, "So how do you like it, Sherry?" Because I had really fought hard to come onto this mission. I wanted this mission very badly. I had watched Planet Earth forever. I was there at its inception, and I had watched it forever. I had been on the planet in my ET form back in the days of Egypt, and also in Atlantis. But I'd never been in a body, a human body. So when I got the opportunity, when the call came out and it was decided we were going to do this great rescue mission on planet Earth, I wanted very badly to be a part of it. And so now here I was, and they had warned me that it's not going to be what you think, probably. And they were right. So he came in and he said, "How are you liking it?" And I said, "I don't like it." I said, "I don't like being in that." It felt like I was squished down into a little body, and which I was. And I didn't care for the limitations of it at all. But he was teasing me about it, and that's my first recollection. I had that memory my whole life, and I couldn't reconcile who the little blonde-haired baby was in the crib, because I thought, I'm standing there looking at this baby in the bedroom of my mom and dad, in their bedroom, and I recognized the room, and I knew it was there, but it was not my younger sister. She came along 5 years behind me. She had black hair when she was born, a shock of black hair, which is really, on a baby, was really shocking to see. And this little thing had kind of blonde, sandy blonde hair. And then I put it together then slowly it filled in, and I remember the conversation about, well, how do you like it now, Sherry? How do you like it here? And so that was my very first. I had contact with them. I've had contact with my cosmic family so much that by the time I was in my 20s, I was starting to question my sanity, because I knew I had another life, and I didn't understand why I was living two lives at the same time. And how could I be doing that? Because I was gone so much. They picked me up so much. But what I did was, before I came to the planet, I knew that there was a danger of us, those of us who came onto the planet, of us falling into the lower frequencies and getting trapped in the karmic cycle and all that. And so I told him, don't leave me alone for very long. Don't leave me be, don't leave me, don't let me get lost in the matrix. And so they did. They came mostly daytime. They would pick me up during the daytime. When I was walking home from school as a child, they would pick me up. They were a constant in my life. So I have lots and lots of memories.
Did you ever share that with your Earth mother and father?
I tried a little bit, but not much. No, something I knew it would not go over. And even when I was older and then my memories were all full-fledged open, or if I had a few times I had contact that I would remember it consciously when I was in my teens. I had quite a few contact because they were coming a lot. I tried telling my mom and dad about it because my dad was really interested in that sort of thing, but he didn't want to hear it. And then later when they went and investigated me and it was shown and there was proof positive, hard evidence that with lots of witnesses that I was having these experiences, my family didn't want to hear about it. No. So.
Wow. But the interesting thing about you, Sherry, was that you had, well, your book is The Forgotten Promise. So there was a part of you that, what didn't you say, wiped out those memories and had to struggle to get them back, and then that deliver the promise? Yeah.
Well, the promise, the Forgotten Promise, it was when I rebelled, Alan. I rebelled. I was having a pretty good life, and I loved my children and my family, and I just innately knew I was going to lose them when I had the book published, and I just didn't want that to happen. And so I was going to renege on my promise. I was going to say, this little book isn't that important. It's not going to change anything on the planet. I'm happy to talk about my experiences, but I'm not going to publish the book. And that's when Doc came in and he said, have you forgotten? You took a vow. You made a promise, Sherry. And I said, yep, okay. So I went ahead and had the book published, and I lost my entire family. So
they just divorced you, huh? They just,
it can be blamed on the book, kind of, sort of, but it really is. What Da told me was that it just was not meant to be, that my contact with my children was going to be severed one way or the other. It was just part of the contract I had. And to tell you the truth, I told you there was another aspect to this whole story, and that is a very confusing thing that happened in November 16th of 2011. I was driving home here down this road, coming home with my partner at the time, and came around the corner and up on a little rise, and there was a beautiful rendezvous ship. They had come for me in the big ship instead of the little scout ship. And I was excited. I saw, and they had told me that they were coming. 2 or 3 days before that, they had popped in and just said, there's an important meeting that you need to be at. We'll be coming to pick you up. I just assumed it would be in the middle of the night, but here it was at 4 o'clock in the afternoon. Came around the corner, and there they were, moving slowly up the valley. And I was like, oh boy, I was so excited. And I actually turned to my partner and I said, maybe I'll get to go with them and I won't have to come back. It's 2011, and I thought, I don't have to go through that whole 2012 stuff and everything. So I went on the ship with them, and it was a big meeting. They had a lot of people there, and my friend Judy Carroll from Australia, who is an experiencer, she was there. We've talked about it since. She remembers me being there. She saw me. She remembered that I was sitting at the table. I remember that she was standing back in the back of the crowd against the wall, back in the back. So we both had shared memories of this experience on the ship. And they had a meeting, and what they were talking about was that the Ascension was not going as well as they had hoped. It was okay, it was good, but people were not waking up as much as they should, and that they were still caught in a guilt, a lot of guilt, and a lot of the energy of being a victim. And they went on to show everybody that was in the meeting. They said, this is what the planet looks like now, and they showed the planet with this gray cloud around it. The planet was actually enclosed, and it was the frequency of guilt and of being a victim. And they said, this is this is not good. You know, we need to break this energy down. And they said, we're looking for volunteers. And they said, we want people, we don't need very many. They said, we don't need very many. We only need about a dozen or 15 of you around the world in different places and critical spots to take on a great deal of suffering. You're going to have to suffer, but you do it without becoming a victim. You do it and you experience forgiveness. You just stay neutral, and by doing that, you're neutralizing the energy. And I said, bullshit. That's just bullshit. I turned to the guy next to me and I said, what bullshit? I said, that's just wrong, asking somebody here to suffer like that. And he leaned back at me and he said, well, actually, Sherry, we were hoping that you would take the charge, you would take the lead on this, because you're really, that's what you teach, is that, you know, there's no such thing as a victim. You know this inside and out. You know, this fits for you. We were hoping that you would take the lead on this. And I said, how is that going to work? And he said, we've done this before on other planets, Sherry. He said, you just don't remember. He said, but we've done this before and it works. And he said, this is how, and he showed us up on the screen again, and he showed the planet with all this, the gray, murky energy around the planet. And he said, here's what happens when somebody is suffering, but they don't take on the role of victim, and they don't have that energy. And he said, if they forgive it and they'd stay out of victimness. And they poked down through and brought in and there was all this light that came through instead. And he said, and they did it around the planet, like, you know, 15 different places or whatever it was. And he said, you see how it breaks up that frequency? He said, that's what we need to have happen. And I said, oh, I don't know, that really works. And they said, yeah. And he said, well, yeah, it does, it really works. He said, it would help a lot if we could get 15, at least 12 or 15 people to do this. And I said, you know, I've already gone through a lot of suffering. I lost my business and I lost my wealth. I lost my relationship. I lost my parents, my family through death, a lot of people through death. And I said, I don't know about this. I don't think I've got any more suffering to do. And I was saying that to him when this little gal behind us said, I'll do it. And she just raised her hand, and I turned to look at her, and she was a little gal from South America. I don't know how I know that. I must have known her. She's just a little thing, bright light of a little creature she was, just a beautiful soul. And I just looked at her, and she's just like 5'2" or something, just a tiny little thing. And I was like, man, she just volunteered to do that. And I looked at her and I thought, oh my gosh. And I said, I'll do it. I'll do it. I signed the contract that day for 10 years of in-depth, heavy-duty, unrelenting suffering. And I have regretted that many times, but most of the time I accepted it, and I'm coming out of it now. But it was 10 years of where not one thing goes right in your life. I mean, they covered it all. Not one thing goes right. Not one thing goes your way. I had something just the other day. I told Jim, I said, maybe my luck is going to turn. Maybe I'm coming out of this, because what happened, I had something happen where it was something really little that the cards just kind of fell my way. Something really little, like, I forget what it was, but I said, maybe that's the turning point. Maybe the darkness is done with. Maybe I'm no longer going to have this happening in my life.
Did you learn anything from all that suffering?
I did. I mean, I do have to admit that I learned a lot, Alan. I learned a lot. And
what did you learn? Because, you know, it helps other people going through.
Yeah, I thought I was a compassionate person before. I thought I was compassionate. I thought I had empathy. I thought that I knew what it was like, to some extent, for people to suffer. I had no idea that you can go down into the depths of that kind of suffering. And it wasn't just the physical. I had pain, but my pain was more, it was from poison. What you have is detoxing, and it's just a feeling of just weakness. And I mean, I was in a wheelchair for a while. I'm still somewhat blind. My sight is coming back some, but I still, so you go down those paths where you know you're going to be disabled. You live with death, you know, and I don't have any fear of death. As a matter of fact, I embrace it, but it's just the idea of it being there, living with it constantly, not sleeping at night, I mean, everything. But the worst part of it was the loss of the relationships, my children and my sister and my family. See, that's why I can't really, they were turned against me, and I'm not sure how. I was talking to Jim about it when Da came in and explained to me that this was done purposefully, that I have been isolated for a reason. And I said, is it to protect them and keep them safe? Or is it to punish, you know, as part of the punishment, kind of the, you know, the suffering part of it? I don't know. I never got an answer as to who isolated me from them, but I was isolated from friends all at the same time. They all just forgot me at the same time. And one of them, I tell this story, one of them called me right around Christmas time one year. She had been at a party, and she said somebody at the party had mentioned my name, and somebody said, well, you know her, don't you? And she said, yeah. And she said, who? And they said, Sherry. And she said, it was like, her brain was foggy. That's right. And she shook, and she's like, oh yeah, I do know her. And then she's like, oh my God. She said, I left the party, and she's like, came right home, Sherry, and called you. I'm so sorry that, you know, that I dropped out of your life. I don't know what happened. It's like I forgot you. And I said, yeah, tell me what happened. And I said, by the way, it's not been a year, it's been 2 years. And she said, oh my gosh. And that's the way it was with several people. They slowly have been coming back into my life. And I'm asking them, what happened? Where did you go? And they're like, it's like you were just erased. You were just erased. And I just forgot about you. And so my children and my family, to do the way they've treated me, it's not them. It's not them. It's, you know, they're under some kind of influence, and I'm waiting and hoping that they wake up and come back around, but I'm not sure that they will. I'm not going to count on it. Now, I think it was done to keep them safe, and also, but it might be part of the deal that I made, the contract I signed. But I had 2 people who were very dear to me, and they both died on a Friday night after they got home from work. Had never been sick, had not had any health problems. Both died of what they called heart attacks. They thought, they didn't know. Neither one of them was fairly young. The other one was in great health. Both of them were helping me. One was helping me financially. He was very well off, and I had no source of income, and he was giving me money so I could get treatments. And the other one was doing healing on me, which he was a powerful, powerful healer. I get assigned healers all the time, and he was the one that had been assigned to me. They both died either, I think, on the same Friday night, but very close together on a Friday night. So I have had people be taken out because of their association with me. So.
Well, it's so intense, Sherry. I hope you're on the other side of that struggle. A question from Flo says, you mentioned the Galactic Federation of Light. Can you talk about what you think? Are they one of the beings or groups that are helping you? Or, yeah, what part does this galactic family play?
Yeah, I'm not real big into the Galactic Federation of Light, and I'm not sure. I mean, I've gotten emails from guys who tell me that they are part of the Galactic Federation. I had one soldier send me emails telling me that I probably wouldn't have to worry anymore, that the attacks on me, I don't know who he was, the attacks on me were going to end. I had 2 guys show up. They were dressed in blue, which I'm familiar with as the garb of the Galactic Federation, which I guess now they're called the Galactic, I think they're called the Alliance now. I think there's been some shakeup within the ranks of that, but I don't know that much about them. And I mean, I work directly with my guys, and I'm working with 3 different groups, but I don't know if they're involved with the Federation or not.
Well, the question I have, and maybe Victor has one too, and we'll also take some from the chats, is, okay, you went through this very intense time, you were repressed, suppressed, but the future, I feel, looks bright. What do you see as the future for the planet, and our integration with star beings.
I agree, Alan. It's really, I think it's really bright. There was that song, It's So Bright We'll Have to Wear Sunglasses. It's better than that. I mean, it's phenomenal. We are, as the Creator said, I remember the Creator declaring that my children have been lost to me long enough. Time to bring them home. Go bring them home. And that's why I'm here. That's why all of the volunteers are here, because our Creator decreed that it was time. I mean, this experiment with this planet went really awry.
It's
And
gotten
it-
out of hand. Yeah. Go ahead.
Yeah, it did. It got really bad. And I remember before coming here, I remember being out there watching planet Earth and just feeling sorrow, deep sorrow and sadness for the planet, for what she was having to bear up and go through. Her ascension had been held back many times. But now when the call came, it was like, this is the last opportunity. Humans have to make it this time, or they're not going to make it at all. And so when I came on the planet in 1950, the timeline showed that humans were not going to make it. They were going to once again be washed off the planet, which is why I volunteered for the hybrid program with my guys, which was to create human to human children, and so that we could replenish the planet again. Not Earth, because she had needed to move on, but we would replenish the planet with that biological entity, because it was so unique and so divine, we didn't want to lose it. So that, I remember that. But miracle of miracles, here we are, and we're going to make it. The planet is going to ascend. Humanity is going to survive. Will they go to fifth dimension? No, probably not that many of them are going to make it, graduate to go to fifth. But they're all going to go up to, to 3D positive on another planet, or 4D positive. Some may be on a negative path, but that's their choice. But what we did is we got the frequency up high enough to where this could happen. So yeah, it's a very bright future for this planet. We're going into the golden age, which is promised by our Creator, and in the way it was set up from the very beginning on this timeline, to go into this golden age and have 1,000 years of peace and prosperity, and to allow the human soul to evolve. Finally, they have not been allowed to evolve. So
Well, that's great. Victor, you want to read the comments? I love the sound of your voice, Victor. You want to read Heather's comment and on some of the others there?
Absolutely. Rebecca said, "Thank you, Sherry. I deeply understand what happened to you. You're not alone. I hope you can feel our love. Big hug from Lauren."
yes.
Heather said, "Sherry, you took on a huge role for humanity. Bless your soul. Wrapping you in a big hug. I honor you and your service to humanity. Much love." Flo says, "So in agreement, Heather. Sherry, you've paved the way for many of us. Thank you, Sherry, for your service to us all." And Flor said, "Can this be applied to other deep loss, to the soul, not an ET framework?" That's a question.
Yeah.
Oh, you have such a great voice, Victor. You make me
Thank
cry.
you.
Jeez, I'm very emotional. There was a question. What was the essence of the questions again?
The essence of the question, hang on one second, I'm sorry. The essence of the question was, can this be applied to other deep loss to the soul and not just within the ET framework?
What you've been through and
What you've
all
been
that.
through.
Oh yeah. Sadly, it's true that through suffering, the human soul does. Well, I'm gonna tell you what Yeshua told me when I was in the darkest of moments with this and begging to be released from this. He came into me and he said, "You know, Sherry, this is not being done to you." And I said, "I know." I said, "I agreed to it. I allowed it." And he said, that you did. And I said, "But I don't know why anymore." And I said, "I know I did it for humanity, but I said, I'm just broken." I said, I just don't know if I can continue on." And he said, "You asked for this on a soul level because it will color your soul in a way that you could not do otherwise, other than through suffering. Forevermore, you will carry this with you through eternity, this coloring of your soul, and all who meet you will know, ah, you were on planet Earth and you served and you suffered and you paid the price and you assisted in the transition of that planet and helped the souls on that planet. And he said, it's like a badge, I guess, like, like you wear if you've been in the military and you've been through a great battle, you wear that badge. And so it is with humans as well. Nothing happens to us without our consent. So if you're a human and you're suffering, you asked for it. On some level, you asked for it. It always has to be that way. You cannot be a victim. It's not possible.
Well, thank you. Because I often remember my lifetime in the concentration camps, and that's suffering. Or if you've been nailed to a cross, I'm sure that's suffering. I mean, we've been through it. Does bear the marks of being in density. How you doesn't get any denser in a way. The lowering of vibrations to that level of suffering, and then to see what a joyful possibility really does exist is the other side of that.
Exactly, Alan. I think that it is true that the lower you go, the deeper you go, the higher you will go. And I've had that told to me by the angels. They have been here and they've talked to me and they've offered their comfort. And it's hard sometimes. I mean, I've had the beautiful blue angels here, and I've actually told them, I won't tell you what I told them. I mean, I sat up in bed and struggled to sit up in bed and shook my fist at them. And if you're not going to heal me, then get the F out of here. I'm like, it's like they're like taunting me or something. It felt like at the time, but they were offering comfort. But sometimes you just can only bear what you can bear. But yeah, it's true.
Yeah.
Sherry, Andrea says, lots of love and light, dear Sherry. Thank you for your work. Shall you be blessed now forever and be able to experience only love, joy, and inner peace more and more each day. I love you, beautiful soul.
Yeah, thank you. Boy, that's really nice. Very moving. Got a nice crowd on here today, Alan.
Yeah, well, it's our family here. Flo has a lot to say to you too, because he's been writing in the chat, and it's touched me. It brings tears to my eyes, these comments. But Flo, what about you?
I'm just feeling an immense well of gratitude for your life and what you've contributed to our planet and allowed us to be at this conjunction where we can unify. And I just wanted to speak it in person, like, thank you for your service. And as Alan said, having a previous lifetime in a concentration camp, and I've had lifetimes, and many of us have had all these lifetimes of suffering, and to be able to connect with compassion, I feel, is like such a deep medicine from the journey. And I'm just honored to hear you, and thank you from the depths of my heart.
Wow, thank you, Flo. And I agree with you. I mean, I now recognize in others, when I meet them, I recognize those that have gone through suffering and who have experienced similar to what I've been going through. You see it in the other. And I said to someone not too long ago, I can tell even in my own circle of friends and people that I know, those who have this experience in their past, whether it's this lifetime or another lifetime, they stand out like little sparkles or something. They know how to relate to you. If they haven't gone through it themselves, they're still innocent of that, and they lack the ability to have deep compassion or understanding, and that's okay. That's okay. I mean, I was like that myself when I first came on the planet. I mean, even though I was a sixth density being, having come here and having gotten to that level, I still didn't know what to do for my mother, who suffered a lot through her life, or for people who suffered great loss. When I would have a friend who lost their mother or a parent or something, I would feel the heartache and the sadness and deep into my soul, but I didn't know how to deal with them. I didn't know how to relate to them. And that's what you learn by going through this, is you know now that, what you should and shouldn't say. What can I do? What can I do for you? Not let me know if you need something. Let me know if I can be, instead, you just put yourself out. There's a subtle difference. And it's a unique club to belong to. So I'm grateful for the experience. I would not wish it on my worst enemy, and I do not want to ever go through it again. But the one thing I am blessed with, that they did send me my partner, Jim, to take care of me. I wasn't totally alone. I wouldn't have made it. I had him here. He came in at the 11th hour. I mean, they just pushed him into my life. And I said, I don't want anybody in my life. I don't want. And they like pushed him in. They're like, yes, you do. Yes. And I was like, no, I don't. And they're pushier than usual. Thank God that he answered the call. And thank God that I had him, because that was a godsend.
Wow.
So
You've given us a beautiful lesson. I mean, we're talking about ultimate star beings, but we can't really achieve that until we've been the human, I feel. That's why we're here incarnate. We have to feel the depths of this despair that it is to be, I don't think it's a prison planet, but to be stuck in density, and to awaken to our true destiny, you know.
right.
So from density to destiny. But no, I think you've given us all a part of the humanity that we need in order to be star beings.
I agree, Alan. I agree. And I didn't like that, like on the ship that day when they told me, you know, these volunteers who volunteer for this part of the mission would have to suffer in order to neutralize the energies and stuff. I mean, to me, it just sounded like a bunch of bull. You know, it was an excuse to to make people go through this stuff. But I understand it now, and I don't like talking about it a lot, because it's a very sacred journey. It was a very sacred journey, and I don't like talking about it. And I don't. I've had some people respond to it, you know, over the top too much. To you know, I don't want to be a martyr. I'm not a martyr. That's not what I am. I'm a warrior soul, is what I am. That's who I was created to be. And yeah, I took the form of this skinny little woman, but I am a warrior soul. And I'm here fighting for this planet, just like all the other volunteers and starseeds are. And so, you know, and I'm actually, I feel, I guess, is proud the right word? I'm not sure if that's, but I mean, we did it.
Yeah.
You know, everybody on this chat, we did it. I mean, we have reason to celebrate that, and to take some solace in what we had to go through coming here and living these lives of being ostracized to a certain extent, and ridiculed a little bit, and whatever. All that is minor compared to what was at stake. You know, I think we need to remember what we accomplished here. We rescued this planet, and the beautiful humans, the beautiful souls that were on here that weren't going to make it otherwise.
Well,
So.
I know Neil has been through his own process, and Neil, I feel like there's something emerging, coming out that you want to talk about here.
Well, just gratitude, really. But I was just taking in everything you're saying, Sherry, and the last few words, "we rescued this planet," just really just like penetrated my soul. You know, like I don't know. I feel, and I've heard others say that, you know, this has happened before and we've done it and we didn't make it. Right. That's something that I've heard, and it might be this cycles of time on this linear progression of our existence, or maybe this dimensional experience. But I really feel that we have a lot of support. You know. A lot of support, and the human experiment, nobody wants it to start over. I feel we have more potential if we continue with our growth, you know.
Right.
And you know, I just want to say this: when I met you at Contact in the Desert 6-7 years ago, I don't even know if you know that's where we met, but I was in your workshop, and I was there. And when you did your workshop, I felt your heart so much that's literally why every year I email you and I check to see if you're ready to talk, you know. And it's because, like, just that imprint of those moments that we spent together and your communication, I could feel your compassion, right? So I just appreciate you, that even all these years, you know, we've only had interactions maybe 3-4 times on conferences, but every time I think of you, it just inspires that feeling of compassion in me. So I thank you for that. You
know, Neil, I do remember that. I remember that workshop. I was sick also at Contact. I was sick, and I remember looking at that schedule and knowing I had to go do a workshop, and I hadn't prepared anything for it. And I walked in that door, and my guys, I'd gotten the message, go in, feel the energy of the crowd, and respond to it. And you were there along with a handful. I have no idea what we did. I don't remember anything about what the workshop was at all, but I remember you at the end of it and you telling me that you were going to go on and you were going to help spread the word, and you wanted to do conferences, and you had these goals and these plans. And I remember saying, let it be so. Just let it be so. So I do remember you from that. And I remember, and you have followed through by, I'll get a text from you just random times, and I'd be sick as a dog, but it would just lift my spirits to know that you were out there thinking of me. And I have that from dozens and dozens of people around the world who just randomly drop me messages from time to time just to say, I love you, I'm thinking of you, sending you energy, hope. That's what sustained me and kept me going. All that positive energy from souls who understood what I was dealing with. And so, yeah, I remember you, Neil, and I appreciate you so much. I'm so inspired by what you've done.
Thank you.
You made your dreams come true. I see, you're really making a difference. So good for you.
So much from you. Thank you. And I remember we were in a circle. You had us all sit in a circle. That's all I remember. But yeah, so just thank you for everything you're doing, and you've really inspired and laid the groundwork for a lot of us. And now we have more of an opportunity to move forward and create this new world, right? And that's what it's all about, is just we're peeling back layers and reconnecting, but not just to these star beings. Like the theme through this whole conference is a reconnection to ourselves, right? And through the inner world, like Saryan was just the speaker before you. He was talking about how he wanted to see craft and UFO externally, and then and they would never show up. And then he had insight one day to start looking within, and started doing the meditation and the inner work. And through that, the contact experiences started happening, right? So it's really that's the message: is once we do the inner work, we can actually create and be what's so many people have said on this conference, really be the stewards of this new earth.
Right.
Ellen, you're muted.
Sherry, if I may just say, you have shared about losing your family. You found your family. We love you. Thank you.
Oh, thank you. You make me cry. I'm very emotional, when it comes to that subject, and
I am too.
Yeah.
That's the human part. That's the beauty of the human part, is to feel these emotions. And you've been so vulnerable and open. My tears have come to my eyes too. And, Flo looks very emotional, and Joan, but do you want to read that last comment about from Mo, Victor? Do you see Sherry?
Mo says, Sherry, you give me strength to continue being the warrior I am. These last 10 years after my death experience are very complicated. Grateful for you sharing your story, your warrior story, a beautiful story. Soul you are. Love, love, love.
See, there's so many people. I mean, I'm not the only one with this kind of a story. There's all the volunteers and the star seeds. It's not been easy. It's just not been easy. And so that's why I talk about it, because that's just, like I said, I don't have any filters. My whole life is an open book. Why not? And I think that it takes me talking about it to give permission to others who maybe feel like they can't, or maybe they feel like they have to hide that part of their experience here or whatever. I mean, I kind of felt that way at the beginning when I was first getting sick and poisoned. And I thought, here I am supposed to be here doing this great mission, and I'm sick in bed, laying on my bed. I can't get out and go to the conferences. I can't talk. I can't. And I was actually ashamed of that. I thought, I'm failing in my mission. I'm failing here. But we all deal with what we were given, and we all contributed. So, and it's been a success.
Joan,
Sherry, your story is really powerful for all of us. Just the fact that you said no, or you were, just the fact that they wanted you to leave and you said no, and you stuck to that to stay here for humanity, and the fact that you had so many challenges to even do your mission. You're just a mentor and a role model, I think, for many of us on how important our soul mission is, how the other side does not want it to happen, and the courage you're showing. You're kind of
I think-
bringing tears to my eyes
Yeah.
the whole
Thank you.
afternoon.
Yeah. Flo,
you.
did you want to say something else? Because
I just overhearing Victor and Sherry having that conversation. I've been in Mexico for the past couple of weeks, and a couple of days ago we celebrated Dios de los Muertos, honoring the ancestors that passed away. And I was in a ceremony, and everyone was going to the sacred fire and offering tobacco and paying homage to the ones who passed away in their life. And I had this simple but easy, profound understanding. It's what we share in common as humans to have had loss. And no matter who we are, no matter where we've been on the journey, we've lost someone. And I really just feel that connects us to this beautiful journey that we're all experiencing. And it gives deep gratitude in my heart. We get to experience this right now together as a family. Just giving gratitude for this gift of life. I hope we all just get to live our truest potential and enjoy while we're here on this temporary excursion on Pachamama.
Yeah, it is temporary. We have to remember that. That's my favorite saying has been, this too shall pass. Sometimes I say it every 30 seconds. This too shall pass. It'll pass. This will pass. Just hang on. Just hang on. So that's what we have to do.
you dropped
Yes.
us all into this beautiful place of love and feeling that I feel a good conference needs. It's great to be out there, but now we're here. We're grounded in this sense of being and motion and humanness. So thank
That's
you.
why I love the conferences. I loved going to the conferences. I mean, the last few I went to, I had no business being there. I was dragging myself to them, but I loved the energy that I would get by being there and connecting with the other souls that were all on that same level and sharing similar experiences in their dramas of their lives. So I miss going to those kinds of conferences, but this is the next best thing. This is definitely better than just sitting home and not meeting anyway at all. So this has been a great way to connect. I'm enjoying it very much.
Thank you. Victor, any final words from you, Victor? Anything you want?
At this point, I'm at a loss for words, Alan. It's so moving and so wonderful. And Sherry, I came in a couple of years after you. I came in early '53. And I have a sense we've met before.
Yeah, I do too. I feel like I know you. I know your voice, especially. You didn't do any, did you do conferences or is it just?
I haven't been to any conferences. I've done a few podcasts, but yeah, that soul connection. I look in your eyes and I see perhaps my sister. So.
Oh, nice. Thank you. I don't have any idea how we're doing on time.
I think, Neil, this has been good therapy for all of us, for me too. How are we doing on time, Neil?
Yeah, we can wrap up right now. We have a couple more minutes.
Anything you want to leave us with? I mean, you've left us with a lot, but anything you want to add to what's happening?
I guess the thing I've been saying the most when I wrap up any interviews, and I don't have to tell this to you, but maybe if there's people out there listening who are new to all of this, as to what is the thing to do at this point. Early, I mean, we're in the ascension process, definitely. We're in the split, and disclosure is coming at us very rapidly, and everything is going to change and shift, and we're going to be tumbling into a new reality, a new world as the matrix collapses and disappears. So, how to get through that is by staying in your heart. I believe staying in your heart and always just looking at every soul, every person you meet, and recognizing and finding, searching for the innocence in them, no matter who they are, no matter what, no judgment of who they are. And just, if you go about your day that way, with the intention of seeing the innocence, which is seeing the person for the truth of who they are, without their ego, without their fears, without their agendas, without their programming, see the soul that they are. You see that person like that, and you just get overwhelmed with the love for them. And, you know, they'll recognize that. On some level, they'll feel that, and they'll give it back to you. And the more you do that, the more it grows and the more it grows. And it becomes a natural state for you to be in that frequency of because that's unconditional love. When you can see the innocence in the person that you're meeting. And I love doing it with waitresses or waiters, clerks, you know, people that you meet like in that way, in that capacity. They're strangers to you, and you cross paths with them for just such a short while, but there's a connection that you can make. I love making that kind of connection and just shooting them with some unconditional love. You know, maybe they haven't had that for a while. That's what I'm sharing with people. That's how we're going to get through this. We're just going to build that frequency on the planet, and it's going to propel us all forward into the fifth dimension or wherever it is we're meant to land.
Kindness and gratitude.
Yeah.
Thank you. Sherry, you are loved and appreciated.
Thank you. Thank you, Alan. So great to be here.